Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another Dooley Noted Podcast, as always presented by the great Titan MRI, Joe Calorio, and the great job they do over there. I'm not just, what do I say? I'm not just a spokesman, I'm a customer. I've been there. I've had many MRIs done by Titan, and we love them. And, of course, we are coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, which are right here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. He'll be our guest today, and pretty much I think on most Mondays, I think that's the plan we have to have Coach Spurrier to be on Mondays. And, I think it's going to go great. And I'm way down on my list of things to run out of talking to him about, because there's about 900 that you could talk to him about and certainly enjoy it. But we have, of course, all of our great stuff, all of our great sponsors here in the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And I want to start by talking about women's basketball. Because yesterday I'm sitting there and I get home from doing some other stuff, and I go, well, got to go watch the women, see what's going on. And my daughter calls me at the end of the game. She's so happy. It is amazing how this team has captured the Gator Nation. Now, I don't want to say the whole Gator Nation, because there's still people that don't care about women's basketball. But I think 97% of it. And women's Gator basketball has been it's literally been like an ink blot on a resume, or some kind of, like a used diaper. Women's basketball here has not been good for a long time. When it started to get good, it always had problems. And there was, with Amanda, I loved Amanda to death, but they had problems with players, getting in trouble and all that. And I liked her. I wish she had not been fired. And then, of course, we know what happened with the last coach. And now all of a sudden, somehow, this woman, Kelly Ray Finley, has captured the attention of a Gator Nation that cares about football, spring football, signing day, second signing day, gymnastics, men's basketball. That would be the order, I think. And now women's basketball creeping in there, maybe right in that softball, baseball range. So I give them so much credit. That game was hard to watch because it wasn't a lot of scoring, obviously. But it's always win by one. And they did win by one, even though they gave that it was a Zippy Broughton that scored the last basket, which, that's fine. You score I got it, because Coach Spurrier said, I got to ask him about her scoring that last basket. He would say, yeah, it's your job to stop him. So I can't wait for him to come in here and talk about that. And he'll be here in just a minute. All right, so we got all that going on with basketball. With women's basketball, they're still way down in the net at like 49th and everything. So don't worry about that too much is what I would say. Because for some reason, some of the scheduling, and I will say this would in terms of the math that's going on with the net rankings, I'm not sure how good that is. But I know this. Right now, Florida's in the tournament. There's no doubt about it. And the women's side, and we'll see how it goes. All right, the men's, I was at the game. I actually went to the game. Had a great seat, although it was very cramped. I don't know how anybody sits on the second row that's over 5'8", and you got to stretch. There's nowhere to stretch out. But I still loved it. It was a great game and a great win for the Gators. And again, it's a win. That's all you care about. It is all about winning and losing, especially at this point in the season. So that was a good, and I tell you what, that roar when Colin Castleton got introduced was pretty cool, because you were waiting for it. It was weird because there had been rumors that he was going to play, and I'd heard that he was going to play, and then we talked about it a little bit on Friday that he might play, and then as the game is getting closer, people see him on the court, and then they see him run out with the team to start the game, and there's this buzz that goes through that wine and cheese section back there. And by the way, thanks to Chris Connor for getting me up there. But it was this buzz, it was unbelievable. And then when he was introduced, it was pretty loud. And, of course, he played well, but, I mean, they just found a way to win. They didn't play their best game and found a way to win, which is what it's all about. Of course, we got a lot going on coming up. It's Super Bowl week. It's gymnastics has a huge meet Friday with LSU. And I think, I don't know, again, don't get me started on gymnastics rankings. I think Florida's still 4 and LSU's 5, but whatever. They're two of the best teams in the country, and there'll be a lot of people up there for that to watch that. We got to get to all of our other stuff. Of course, Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. I got a really good one for you this week. Adams Rib Co. to Go Gator of the weekend, Hetzer and Kipke Monday spreads, and Hand Law 3 things. And, of course, as always, our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. So we'll do all that stuff eventually, but first we got to take a break. We'll come back with the HBC, his Monday appearance. We love having him in here on Mondays, and we'll talk to him about a lot of things. I got something really interesting for him today. Let's see how he does on it. We'll be right back on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our warfighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam's Rib Co. to Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to Another Dooley Noted Podcast, of course, from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, presented by Titan MRI. It's always a pleasure to be joined on Mondays by the HBC. And, of course, now have you sold out yet on this Super Bowl, can I say, big game party that you've got?
Oh, I'm not sure if we've sold out or not. They haven't told me that, but yeah, we've got they tell me you're not supposed to use that word Super Bowl, so we call it the big game. We'll call it the big game party. The big game party here, 5:30 to 6:30. You can go online to spurriers.com and get a reservation here. So yeah, we should have a big crowd, and looking forward to coming out.
And obviously, now I'm curious because you were a Niners guy your whole life as a pro, pretty much your whole life as a pro. So did you develop a hatred for the Rams, or do you care about that?
The Rams owned us, Pat. Remember how Georgia used to own our butts here a little bit? In 18 games, I was there 9 years with the Niners, played them twice a year. In 18 games, we won 2. Ooh. We were 2-16, and I played in one of those 2. Brody played in the other ones. But what would happen the years we won those divisions, we'd lose twice to them, and they'd lose to somebody else, over here, there, and the other, and we'd sneak in there and still win the division. But, yeah, I don't have any big hatred. They've moved around to St. Louis, and now that they're finally coming back. But, I pull for the underdog. I don't have a dog in the fight, as they say. So if I don't, I usually pull for the underdog, which is Cincinnati. And they may be the team of destiny this year. You know what? They have won some nail-biters. Evan McPherson, of course, is kicking field goals every win. It just may happen one more time.
Yeah, he was – I don't think people appreciated him here because it was like they never had a kick that he had to make, to win the game.
Yeah, we just didn't have many.
And that was the same thing with Pinheiro. He never really had a kick he had to make. Yeah. So you tend to look at – one of the great kickers of all time, and him well, is Judd Davis, because he had a lot of kicks he had to make, especially in that Georgia game. We had to dig that ball out of the mud. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we had to kick the extra point to beat Alabama, and he was 1-for-1 field goal in that '94 SEC game. And yeah, he was the Lou Groza kicker of the year. Judd Davis had an excellent 4 years kicking for us.
You didn't see it when he and Shane did that Nestea challenge when they fell off each other on that SEC championship game?
I didn't see that.
No, they did.
Yeah, I may have
they could have gotten penalized for it.
Oh yeah, I did see that a little bit. He and the holder,
Shane
Edge.
Yeah.
Shane Edge. Okay, when you said Shane, I immediately thought Shane Matthews. What's he doing there? Shane Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a good bond, those two guys, the punter and the kicker, and of course Edge was the punter that was the holder also, and did a super job. Yeah.
It's really interesting that we've seen some of these games where special teams in the NFL, where special teams were a big factor, some where they were no factor. And we see this in college. Obviously, Urban Meyer really stressed special teams, and they were really good at them. The last 3 coaches really haven't. And I don't know what your philosophy was towards. You guys always knew you were gonna try to get in the 50s. So you still wanted good special teams, though. Oh,
our kickers were terribly important, always important. And punting was not if the ball's going back and forth, up and down the field a lot, the punter's not as valuable maybe as it used to be. But the kicker certainly is in close games. If you play a bunch of close ones and your guy misses a short field goal or so, it can certainly come back to haunt you. But we didn't have a lot went down the wire, and had one we should have made to tie Tennessee in overtime, but our kicker didn't make it. And then, gosh, we missed an extra point here against Alabama.
in '99 to lose that game 40-39.
I reminded of him every day, every time I talk to him.
I don't remind them. They made too many, and that's that's part.
He's the all-time leading scorer at Florida.
Chandler is
scoring more points than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, those extra points and a field goal or two here and there can add up. Yeah.
He made a 54-yarder too, so that was pretty good as well. I was just wondering what you thought about the whole thing with Jim Harbaugh this week, where he flirts, and on signing day is interviewing with an NFL team, and then decides they don't. I guess they didn't offer him the job, so he came back.
He had to be led to believe they're offering me the job if I come interview.
Right.
Well, my policy, I remember one year, I don't know if it's 94, 5, 6, somewhere in there, a guy from Detroit Lions called me up and said, "We're interested in you as our head coach." I said, "Well, are you offering me the job?" He said, "No, we want you to come up and interview." I said, "You don't think I'm dumb and stupid, do you?" I said, "Offer me a job and I'll make a decision maybe." But no, I never went up and interviewed. I did talk to some guys occasionally when they'd offered me the job, and then I stayed here. And then, of course, after 12 years, I thought, go coach the NFL 4 or 5 years, and then retire, come back to Florida, start playing golf. That didn't work out very well, that plan. But anyway, I left because I knew Washington and actually Tampa Bay Buccaneers were ready to hire me also. But
really?
The other guy.
Now, why wouldn't you go to Tampa instead of Washington?
Because I'm a dumbass. And the other guy offered $1 million more bucks, I guess.
Okay.
When you can make 2.5 times your salary, no matter what you do in life, it's hard to turn that down. So, yes, when you do something for money, it usually doesn't work out. You should go for the best situation, and I didn't do that.
When was the first time, I would assume it was after you had success here at Florida, that an NFL team contacted you?
First time? I don't know.
Because I know you were involved with the Saints at one point.
Yeah, the Saints, I actually well, not interviewed, but I listened to the guy, Mr. Benson.
Yeah.
In fact, Carl Franks and I were recruiting in Tampa, and he flew into the private airport there. So I met him out there, and we went up in one of those little rooms, and just a piece of paper just like that, yellow sheet. He wrote down, "All right, if you win the division, we'll give you $10,000 or blah, blah, blah." He was writing out the whole contract there. And he said, "What do you say?" I said, "Man, I got to go home and talk to my wife about this." So I bought a little time, and then called him back and said, "No, I gotta stay here at Florida." So that would have been stupid to have left. That was before the '96 season, by the way. So that would have been very stupid if I'd left then.
Now, did you talk to Tampa that year too?
No, it was the following the 2000. The 2001 year. I talked a little bit with Richie McKay and Tim Ruskell were sort of the.
But what was the year when we had the headline?
Yeah, there was another time.
Spurrier going to Bucks. We had the headline of Gainesville Sun.
Yeah, Dungy. That was interesting. They were talking about the black coaches in the NFL.
Yeah,
and it does look bad.
Yeah,
and they fired Tony Dungy, and he'd made the playoffs. Like 4 out of 5 years or something, and took them to the game before the Super Bowl. They got beat in the conference championship game.
Then he went and won a Super Bowl somewhere else.
Yeah, then he went to Indianapolis with Peyton. He's a wonderful guy, of course, Tony Dungy, an excellent coach.
But I mean, it's just it was constant coming at you. But wasn't there a thing in your contract where you had a window to talk to the NFL? Where you could talk to them during that window?
No, somebody made up that rumor.
Somebody brought it up the other day.
We didn't have all those things they got going now and so forth. In fact, Rick Neuheisel said I had a week that I could either get in or get out.
He's the one who said it the other day.
I called him out and said, I don't know where you got that week stuff. I said, when I left, I did call Jeremy and I said, "Hey, I just think it's time to go coach in the NFL. I've been here 12 years and hope to coach 5, 6, 7 years there maybe, and then come back to Florida or something like that." And so he didn't even, he sort of felt like maybe it was time. 12 years, it's sort of like you've been there long enough.
Right.
Everybody's all already heard your stuff. And to tell you the truth, a lot of fans here, they said, hell, Spurrier's lost it. He's only won one SEC.
You led the SEC in offense. Last year.
No, we had one of the best teams in 12 years that last year, but
Yeah.
we lost the dang game to Tennessee, 34-32, and that finished third in the nation. We didn't win the division or the SEC or the national, but we finished third in the nation. I would say that's a pretty good year, but our fans said that guy's lost it. He can't win the big one anymore.
Well, but that's the thing that I think that Gator fans need to understand is that, you know, they need to just support. When you're going bad, support. Let the AD figure out whether they're going to make a change, no matter what sport it is. You know, basketball, tennis, golf, whatever. Let them all figure it out. But I think Florida fans, and there's a lot of fans that feel this way, if we are loud enough, they'll get rid of the guy. You know?
Yeah, there's an old saying. I don't know who did it, Pat, but some philosopher said, once a man's mind is stretched to new dimensions, it will never return to its original state. So we stretched it to winning the SEC, 6 of the first 7 years, won a national, and then Urban's teams came in and won 2 SECs, 2 nationals right in that time span. And so the fans, their minds have been stretched out there to SECs and nationals, and they're not going to come back here and say, hey, we went 8-4, which at Florida was not all that bad, 8-4 in the old days. So we're trying to get to the 11-2, 12-2 SEC, and occasionally national championship.
I would tell you that I would take 8-4 for this first Billy Napier team.
Yeah,
with the schedule they have, with Utah, Kentucky, got to go to Tennessee, which has gotten better. And
well, I'll tell you what, our last coach, Dan Mullen, went 8-4 and got $1.5 million raise. How about that? So it wasn't that terrible going 8-4 2 years ago.
He did.
But anyway, 8-4, I think, for where we are right now would be an excellent record.
Yeah. Well, so let's look at the Super Bowl. What do you see there for this game? Of course, as we mentioned earlier, they're having a big party here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and you can have a meet and greet with the coach from 5:30 to 6:30, and then watch the big game. They got all kinds of great hors d'oeuvres coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody.
Yeah, it should be. I think it'll be a heck of a game. You know, a lot of Super Bowls are sort of lousy games, but I think both teams are smart enough to, keep it in perspective that you don't get there. First time for, I think, almost all the players. Now, the Rams have been to Super Bowls since they hadn't been there in 31 years or so. But when the Rams were in St. Louis, Kurt Warner and those guys, of course, won a Super Bowl. But still, it's I think almost all these players are smart enough to know I may never get to another one of these. Man, it would be neat if we could win this thing. It's a memory of a lifetime. And there's a lot of guys that went to those Super Bowls, never won one, and I guarantee you it nags them for the rest of their life. It really does. Jim Kelly and those guys, Minnesota Viking guys, man, if we could have just won one, would have got the monkey off the back. Oh, yeah, they were. But the other team played better than them that day.
What's the closest the Niners ever got to it?
Closest we got, Pat, the 3 years we won the division, 70, 71, 72, Dallas beat us every year.
Really?
They beat us at their place twice and at our place the last year. And the last year, we had a 28-13 lead with a little over 5 minutes left. And there was no 2-point then. No. So they had to score 3 times to beat us. And they scored and kicked a field goal, and they onside kicked with about 1:20 left. And our receiver on the onside hit him right between the numbers, went right through him, went down, and Dallas recovered, and Staubach took him in, scored, and they beat us 30-28. I think Dallas actually got beat the next week by Washington and the Redskins, and then the Washington Redskins got beat by the Miami Dolphins that year of 72. But so we still had another game. I'm sorry, we were 2 games away from the Super Bowl, and but Dallas beat us all 3 years, and that was the 3 years we made the playoffs.
How good was John Brody, do you think, as a quarterback?
John was a beautiful passer. And, our schemes back in those days were pretty daggum simple. We only had about 3 formations. He could throw the quick out, 1, 2, 3 throw, and there was no shotgun. Most teams did not use the shotgun back then, but he could throw 1, 2, 3, throw the quick out to the right and the left, pretty passer. And we were playing the Cleveland Browns in a preseason game in Tampa. I think it was 71 or 72, and the Cleveland Browns put in cover 2. So they rolled up both sides. He couldn't throw the quick out either way. We didn't have the fade. There wasn't no adjustments back then.
Yeah.
So he comes over. He said, Spur, I looked to the right, they rolled out, and I looked over here, and they did the same thing. They can't do that, did they? I said, bro, that's what they did. I'm sitting here watching. They rolled up on both sides, and that was the start of cover 2. Remember the old cover 2? John Reese threw 9 interceptions against Auburn, and they put in cover 2. And I said, that's what they did, I'm telling you. And we watched the film of it, and that's what it was the first time we'd ever seen that defense.
You used to remind John when he was coaching at Florida that nobody was ever going to break that record as long as they were playing for you. 9 interceptions.
9 interceptions. Well, we threw 7 at Kentucky. It still won the game.
2 different guys.
Yeah, we combined for 7.
It was 2 different guys.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to leave you with, because when you mentioned this on the show last Monday, it really got me to thinking about some things. You said that if you were coaching now, you would coach differently, a lot differently. And I'm curious when you would have would you have gone to the shotgun earlier if you knew now what you did?
Well, I definitely should have gone earlier when we were doing a lot of empty. And Nebraska, they put 6 guys up there.
Right.
And sometimes they rush, sometimes they drop.
Right.
And when they rushed, we couldn't block them.
Yeah.
And Danny was still underneath. Even if we were in the gun and they're rushing, he could have got it off. But, I mean, they lined up right between the center guard, 2 guys, and had everybody else covered. So somebody's coming clean, and from underneath, he didn't have a chance that game. So would have done different there. But formations and shifting and stuff now, because the defenses are better now than they were in the 90s. When we first got here, it was really, I hate to say easy pickings, but the other team would show you their coverage. They would show you, and they'd just line up in it. And so we would have a good play on just about all the time for the coverage they're playing. And then people start disguising now. So what you have to do on offense now, you got to move, shift your guys around, that little bunch stuff. You bunch from one side to the other, put a guy over here, and then there's all kind of different flood passes and stuff people are doing now. So there's a new ball play around every corner. I've learned that, and you got to keep searching for new ball plays.
What's the big indicator when you're quarterback and you get to the line, you're trying to decide whether it's zone or man? Mm-hmm. What is the biggest indicator? Do you look at the safety? Yeah. You try to move him around, or? Yeah,
we usually would look at the safeties, and if they're back or if they're up close, or those are generally the indicators back then. But really, teams didn't disguise as much then as they do now. But most of our passes, we played 2 backs most all the time, and tight end. And if they were blitzing a whole bunch of dudes, we'd keep both backs in the tight end in and block them all and throw Ike or Quezzy or one of them a post or a corner. That guy's got to cover him the whole field. Yeah. So we really didn't have to do as much as I think offenses need to do today.
All right, before I let you go, I'm going to tell you what I thought you should have done. In retrospect, looking back, the 92 team maybe should have been in the shotgun, because poor Shane was running for his life back then with those freshman tackles. They were letting guys fly by him all the time.
Well, Shane could get rid of it quickly, as you know.
Yeah, he could. Yeah.
The Georgia game that year, I forget their outside linebacker, he told the media boys before the game, said, I'm going to get 5 sacks on Matthews in this game. Watch me. And when the game was over, they asked him, said, what happened to those 5 sacks? You didn't get any. And he said, let me tell you what, I went around that offensive tackle. He didn't even touch me about 5 or 6 times. And by the time I got to the quarterback, he'd already thrown it. So Shane he could take 5 quick hitch and throw in 2 seconds, easy. So as long as those tackles made him take a wide path, we were okay. And they could do that. They can make them take a wide path, and our QBs could get rid of it. We didn't hold it. And when you watch the NFL guys, if they go back, take their steps, put foot in the ground, throw it, they can almost all get it off. And then they start hesitating, and then they get hit. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, what's your prediction for the game?
Well, I think the Rams are definitely the better of the two teams, talent-wise, and this, that, and the other. But I'm going to say maybe, I'll guess right now, I'll pick the underdog Cincinnati to have one more upset.
They're almost like the Bucs from last year. You know, they kept going on the road, but they kept winning games.
It's who gets hot late.
And they kind of remind me of the Braves. Like the Braves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Every week they go, okay, now we got to go play another series, you know. So it was really cool.
The team that has the best season does not always get crowned the champion. It's just who's playing the best at the end of the year.
College football does.
Usually in college, but now we're having 2 or 3 playoff games. You know, hey, Alabama clobbers Georgia in SEC game, but they lose. Ended up losing both their wide receivers, and then next time they play, Georgia wins. So
I still think if Jameson Winston had stayed healthy,
and Kirby said, well, it's just it may be harder to win the SEC as it is the national, and for him it was, and it is interesting. Urban won as many nationals as he did SECs,
exactly.
And we won a whole bunch of SECs, but unfortunately, we played FSU when they're top 4 in the nation. 13 out of 14 times.
And you're also dealing with a 2-team playoff.
Yeah, back then. Yeah, we sort of knocked each other out, and then Miami would knock FSU out a lot. Bobby Bowden and all the great teams they've had there. I mean, it really is sort of a shame. He only won 2 nationals because he played us in Miami. If he had said, we'll play the ACC, and if you boys are good enough to get the national championship game, we'll play you then. Yeah. They would have been in it almost every one of those years. He'd been in a national game at least 20 times.
I wonder how many. Does anybody look back to see how many playoffs you guys would have been in? Probably, because you would have been in obviously 95.
Well,
if it was 12 team, I'm talking.
Yeah,
it would have been a lot, almost every year.
Fell for it. But I tell you what, we're fortunate that the next year they went to 1 and 2 playing each other, because our year, the Sugar Bowl got the ACC champ and the SEC champ, and the Rose Bowl got Big Ten, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten champ. So Ohio State went out there and beat Arizona State that was undefeated.
Right.
And if not, Arizona State would have played FSU, and we'd been fighting for second place. So we're very fortunate, and I am thankful and feel blessed we got 1 national championship out of the two chances we had.
I don't know if it was your best team.
96.
96.
Well, we led the nation.
01 was pretty good.
We led the nation in scoring. I know that in 96. And we had a couple close games, but not really. Vandy was, I guess, our closest game. Yeah. And then the one we lost up there, of course. But anyway, they were all good teams, here or there. We could have played better.
94 was a great team.
Yeah, 94, still one of the best teams ever.
Yep. All right, Coach Spurrier joining us on Mondays. We appreciate him, and we look forward to continuing this, and this is a lot of fun. I know you guys are enjoying it. We'll be back with more as we get to all of our little things, not little things, but fun things that we do. Here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Be here for the big game.
All right.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Mountain Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gator. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry because Mountain Law is going to help you with your recovery. Mountain Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. More than 6,000 veterans take their lives each year, with more than 500 of them occurring in Florida. The Fire Watch Council was established to unite our war fighters and allies to stand watch and build a mutual aid network of veterans and civilian volunteers across Florida trained to identify risk factors of veterans in crisis and to direct those veterans to needed resources. You can invest an hour to join our support network by becoming a watchstander to stand in the gap and support our veterans. Go to thefirewatch.org to learn how to get involved, get off the sidelines, and take a stand on behalf of our veterans. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Coach Spurrier. We love having him in here. I could talk to him about anything, and I was telling somebody there's no end to what you can ask him about. I'm saving up. At one point, I'm going to ask him about like famous people he's played golf with. I won't be one of them. I play golf with him many times, but I don't think he would consider me famous, but he may have a good Pat Dooley golf story. I've got a good Steve Spurrier golf story. All right, we have to get and enjoy getting to all of our great sponsors here. And again, we're presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I mentioned Super Bowl. Let me go ahead and make my Super Bowl pick because I'm not going to wait till Friday. I've already done it. And I'm taking the Bengals. I'm like Steve. I think this may be kind of like a team of destiny, like the better story. And also here's the thing. Like, I like the Rams. My Rams is really weird. Like, I loved the Rams when I was a kid. I would root against Steve Spurrier's 49ers when I was a kid, because I loved the Rams. And the reason I loved the Rams was that I loved everything about them. The whole Hollywood swagger, Roman Gabriel, Jack Youngblood, Merlin Olsen, Fearsome Foursome, Deacon Jones. I just loved everything about them. And I hooked up with them, and they were my team. Then they moved to St. Louis, and I went, nah, never mind. That's not the Rams. And then they moved back, and I was like, it was hard. I had a hard time kind of embracing them. But, they've got this young coach, and they throw the ball around. yeah, I like their team, and so yeah, I like the colors, and so I've been rooting for them. But in this game, I think I'm rooting for the Bengals. There's a part of me. This would be a tiebreaker for me. If the Rams win, that means Georgia won the national championship in football and had the Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's too much. I don't want them to have all that. I can live with LSU having it because people have forgotten LSU even has football after the last couple of years of them. All they know is the shoe throw. So, we'll see what happens there. But I'm taking the 4.5, and we'll get to the Hesser and Kipke spreads in just a little bit. But I'm taking the points. I'm taking them. The prop bets, I don't know if I want to get into it. I would never again. I did bet one time on the coin toss, and I lost. And that was the end of that for me. It's like the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I tend to be a little bit of an obsessive personality, was that I started to gamble long time ago, 30 plus years ago, and I didn't have any money, and I was gambling. There was a bookie that somebody was taking care of it for me, who just recently passed away. Hated that he did. Anyway, and the Braves, there was a great bet, I thought. Braves at Dodgers. Braves were getting unbelievable odds because Pascual Perez, who nobody ever heard of, was pitching. I'm like, this guy's going to be really good. I think he's going to be good. They go to the ninth inning, 2-1. Braves are winning. He's pitching an unbelievable game. Here comes the ground ball to short. That's going to be the ball game right through the wicket of Jerry Royster. Never forget it. They go on to win the game in extra innings, and I went, I'm done. I am done. I am never betting money on sports again, and I really don't. I don't. And thank you, Jerry Royster. If you don't let that through the wicket, who knows what happens. All right, so anyway, we got to get to all of our great stuff. Where was I, by the way? Oh, Alex Wesley, that's where I was. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted today. The Alex Wesley Construction 12-pack. And, of course, with Alex Wesley Construction, love where you live. And this is this is a game I play with people sometimes. And I'll play it with people here. And you can give me yours, and who knows, I may give you something for winning it. But you take 12 teams in the NCAA tournament, and those are your 12. You can't have anybody else. However, you can get 3 1s and 3 2s. And then you have to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, those seed-wise. Now, this is based on Joe Lunardi's last seeding, okay? So I would take Gonzaga, would be my first pick. And I would take Kentucky as my second. I'm hoping something doesn't work out with Kentucky. We all are. But, man, that team looks really good. They look really good. They do have slumps like everybody does. And here's the thing. Everybody has slumps. Look at what happened with Kansas over the last week. Kansas, at home against Kentucky, got embarrassed, destroyed. The following Saturday, they're playing Baylor, the defending national champs, who's actually ranked higher, and they embarrass Baylor. That's the way it is in college basketball. Look, we know who the best teams are, but all it takes is one bad day, and you hope your one bad day is not the day that the other team is actually having a pretty good day. It doesn't even have to be a great team. It could be somebody like, Milwaukee, Baltimore County, which beat Virginia as a 16-1, the first one ever. If they have a good day and you have a bad day, anything can happen. So, but these are the teams. So anyway, I would take Arizona. I would take Duke. I think Duke is ridiculously good, but they've had their moments too. Purdue, I'm still not sure about Purdue. And Auburn, the only reason I would take Auburn that low as a 1 seed, and we're going by Lunardi's most recent, although I'm sure he's got one out today. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. The only reason I'm taking them low is that they played 2 really bad teams on the road and won by 1 and 2 in Missouri and Auburn. Georgia. And that scares me about that team, that maybe it could be that they're just, waiting till they get to the postseason to kind of turn it up. Or it could be that they're just, there's a way to solve their problems. So now I got to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. Okay. So my 3 seed is Texas Tech. Obviously, a lot of history with them. I know they have a new coach, but he seems to be doing a hell of a job. So I'll take Texas Tech with my 3, Illinois with my 8, which would be my 4 seed. All I'm doing is confusing the people who watch this, so let's get through this. 9, Villanova, which would be the 5 seed. Texas with Chris Beard. He knows what he's doing in the NCAA tournament, would be my 3, 4, 5, 6 seed. USC would be my 7. And Arkansas would be my 8 seed. So try that game at home when the seeds are coming out, instead of just a regular bracket. And just you can do anything you want with it. You could say, hey, I'm going to do a pool where you can take no one seeds and you could have 7 teams or whatever. And which team goes the furthest. So there's so many fun things you can do with brackets, and I'm sure we'll do something with them as we get closer to the NCAA tournament. That is the Alex Wesley Construction 12-Pat. Alex Wesley Construction, love where you live. We appreciate Alex Wesley so much. Let's go to the Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend. And because, and this is something I was talking about the other day. Because I'm not saying there's been a long history of this, but lately there have been a lot of weekends and weeks where Gator Nation's just been kind of like, man, what the hell is going on? Why can't we win anymore? Well, we know, and again, I've talked about this a million times. You had the greatest taste in the world. Spurrier talked about stretching the limits of what you could love. And that's exactly what Florida fans have done. And now it's almost like you ate 1 million gallons of pot roast, and now your stomach's not going to shrink real fast. But there have been some that were just hideous weekends lately. I really, over the last year and a half or so, this was a really good one. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. I enjoyed going to the men's basketball game. I enjoyed the women's win, obviously, up at Athens. There's never a bad win over Georgia. There's never been one. You know my philosophy of win by one. And, of course, gymnastics, what they did on the road as well. Huge meet for them with LSU on Friday. I think it's a 5:30 too, so you got to get off work early. I'm sure it'll be packed for that. So I had a lot to choose from, and Florida men and women beat FSU also this week. I think it was on Sunday. So a lot of good things happened. But I'm going with Colin Castleton, and I'm not just going based on what he did in the game. 17.7 rebounds, 3 blocks. Certainly that was great. But it was that he made the decision not to get his shoulder operated on. Now, he could have gotten it done a long time ago, right after he got it hurt, to get ready for not just the NBA draft, but for the actual camps. You had to go through the workouts. And he said, no, I'm going to wait. Now, again, this is a story I'm getting, okay? He said, no, I want to see if it'll heal. If I give it enough time, will it heal? And it did. And now he's playing. And that roar when he came out in the court was unbelievable. And people really care about him. And he gives Florida something they don't have otherwise. They're still a very flawed team, but they are what they are. And so Colin Castleton is our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend. Quite an honor for Colin Castleton. I think he may have won one before. We're going to take one more break because we kind of got discombobulated with Coach Spurrier coming in here a little bit earlier, and we were expecting him, but we love it, believe me. He can come in here and spend the whole time if he wants. How about that? We'll do an hour with Steve Spurrier. We'll take one more break, though, and we'll come back with we've still got the hand law 3 things, the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads, and Leonardo's quick picks from Millhopper. Of course, we'll get to all those when we come back here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast, brought to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
We are here at the University of Florida, where Albert and Alberta are competing in the Gator penalty shootout. Albert is ready to stop the shot at all costs. What a disaster! Luckily, Meldon Law is the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. If you have suffered any injury, do not worry, because Meldon Law is going to help you with your recovery. Meldon Law doesn't back down until they reach their goal.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Duly Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. All right, we are back here for another Duly Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and still have three things to do here, and we appreciate our sponsors so much as well. By the way, on Friday's show, Mike Pratt's going to join us. Mike Pratt was a great player. In fact, I remember doing the 75 greatest SEC players in the 75th year of it, and he was definitely on that list. Really good player. And, of course, he does a lot of radio up there, and we'll get him. We're going to talk a little bit about, of course, Florida, Kentucky, which is Saturday. Of course, Florida plays Wednesday against Georgia. Georgia just almost beat Auburn. And so don't think there are no gimmies here in this conference. I mean, teams decide when and when. They don't always play hard, but when they play hard, they're still good enough to beat you. So Florida will have to play well to win that game. But, of course, Kentucky, to me, is a potential national championship team. There's no doubt about it. Let us get to the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads. We always love the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads. And, of course, they are brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. All right, the Super Bowl spread hadn't changed much. It's still 4.5. It's kind of been 4 to 4.5 the whole time. Rams are favored. As I said, I'm taking the Bengals. if you're curious, the odds, and you may not be curious, the odds on Evan McPherson being named the MVP have dropped from 200 to 1 to 100 to 1. Now, look, it could happen. I mean, but the quarterbacks are going to win the MVP. Whoever the winning quarterback is, you know that pretty much. But, I mean, if somebody has a crazy rushing game, and that has happened. There's even been games where defensive players have won it. I don't know if the kickers ever won it. I don't think they have. But if Evan McPherson kicks 4 field goals and they win 16-14, and they'd have to be a safety then too. And he kicks a game winner from 52. Yeah, he could. There's a way he could win it. It's almost worth going, here's $10 to win 1,000. I wish I could have gotten it at 200 to 1. Also, tonight's games, there's some really good games tonight. Virginia Duke. Curious because Virginia has been a very spotty team. I watch a lot of basketball. I know. I'm sad. It's sad how much sports I watch, but I want to make sure I bring the best to you. Virginia is a 12-point underdog at Duke. Duke's looking pretty good. Kansas is at Texas, and Kansas, as I said earlier, just had an unbelievably bad game and then an unbelievably good game. Texas is actually a 1.5-point underdog, so you get Texas at home with points. Arizona at Arizona State. Arizona State's getting 14.5. Arizona's really good. I may watch that game because I haven't really seen Arizona play that much. And then Pitt at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a 13-point favorite. All right, so those are the Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads. We appreciate them for being a double sponsor and everything they do for us. It is time for our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. Now, we just picked the winner last week, and we'll get the prize to that person as soon as possible. Sooner than we got it to the last winner, Andy McIntosh. I promise you, things have been happening. There's been a lot going on. But the Leonardo's is very simple for this week to qualify. Leonardo's Millhopper Quick Pick. Florida, Georgia, leading scorer for Florida. That's all we want to know. You can say Castleton. You can say Appleby. You might even go on a limb and say Myron Jones, who was their leading scorer in their last game, not the previous game, but the game before that. So, I mean, whoever you want to put down there, it's not that hard. Just put a name down, and we'll try to get that up there on Facebook and Twitter before Wednesday's game. So that is our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks, and thanks so much to Kyle and everything he does, not only for that, but for the golf tournament. By the way, big news for us. We got Dakana Ice Cream to come on as a sponsor for the golf tournament. I want to give them a great plug. Those of you who are playing in the golf tournament, which is sold out, sorry, but those of you who are playing, there'll be an ice cream vendor out there giving you free ice cream. So, yeah, like you weren't going to already gain weight in our tournament. That's our goal. You gain weight. Finally today, our hand line, never leastly, of course, because we love Hand Law and Chris Hand. 3 Things by Hand Law. 3 Things is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. Number 1, Miami hired a new coach, Mike McDaniel, came from the 49ers, and it's interesting because the 49ers, and he is biracial, I think is what he calls himself. So good. I mean, I'm glad that not everybody's turning a deaf eye to, is that even a saying, deaf eye? Obviously, what's going on with this black coaching thing is ridiculous, that people just won't make those hires. But so Mike McDaniel counts as a multiracial guy, and it's good. And the thing is, the 49ers actually get a 2nd and 3rd round picks next year because they developed him. And that is a great plan to incentivize people to try to develop people of every race instead of just being the good old boys that were. That's the problem. The problem has never been, hey, we want more blacks being coaches. No, it's like, give them a chance. Give them a chance, develop them, do the things you would do for other people, for white people, for your friends. That's what the thing is. I mean, it's not anyway, I think you know where I stand. And in fact, Lovie Smith, I think, may get the Texans job, which now you're going, well, wait a minute, that's a retread. Yeah, it's a good point. It is a retread. Number 2, meanwhile, Josh Gaddis goes to, in the latest transfer portal news, Josh Gaddis goes to the Miami Hurricanes to be their offensive coordinator. Apparently, this has to do with the fact that when Harbaugh decided he wasn't going to go to Michigan or he was going to stay in Michigan during that time when everybody said, well, looks like he's going, and he would have gone if they'd offered him the job, but they said, nah, we don't really like you. I really think that's what they went. If they got into a room, they all went, he's kind of an ass. Well, that ass is going to help us win football games. I'm okay. I don't want that. Anyway, because I'm not a Harbaugh guy. So Gaddis apparently was really upset because there were people in the administration that were like, no, we're not hiring Josh Gaddis. We're not hiring an assistant coach. We're going to go get a big-name head coach. And he said, I'm out of here. Once Harbaugh said, I'm coming back, he said, I'm going to Miami and be their offensive coordinator. Miami has put together a great staff. Watch out for the Canes. Watch out for the Canes, I'm telling you. And finally, number 3, before I know I'm running a little bit late. Evan's hanging in there with me. Is Duke, North Carolina still a rivalry? That was the last time in Chapel Hill for Krzyzewski. Of course, he has one more game at Duke against North Carolina. Duke's passed North Carolina pretty badly. I know that they've only passed them by 1 in the all-time series, but let's talk about present tense. There'll be no more Roy Williams, Dean Smith, no more, obviously no more Dean Smith, no more Krzyzewski. Is this really that big a deal anymore? I know it is there, but has it become regional? I think maybe it has. I don't know. To me, it's not the greatest rivalry in the world. It is a rivalry, but you know what? Florida FSU is a rivalry. That's kind of what I look at it these days as. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks for Coach Spurrier for coming in for his Monday appearance, and I think he'll be back Monday again, and we love having him, man. It's so much fun to have him on, and I know everybody loves hearing what he's got to say about everything, and we'll get to a lot of different things as we go forward here. Thanks to Evan for producing, as he always does. Such a great job. We'll be back Friday. Mike Pratt, Kentucky basketball legend, will be joining us, and we'll talk about the Florida-Kentucky game and Kentucky's chances to win the national title. That may have turned off all of our listeners and all of our watchers, but we're still going to do it. I'm telling you. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll be back on Friday. Until then, I am Pat Dooley, and I'm deep way back, and I am out of here.